Welcome to Thoughts Roundup. How nice to have you with me today. We've been talking about Hineston, Louisiana. Hineston, Hineston. No lights. There was 2 stores. First there was one. Crawford, Johnson, and Teddy had theirs on the right-hand side going away from Alexandria direction. And then across the street, Andy Johnson and Claudius, his wife, they had their store. And sometimes people had their particular store, and sometimes they'd get one thing in one place and one another. Both had gas, and I used to work at the one on the right, the Crawford, Teddy. I used to work pumping gas for them as a boy and doing certain things in the store for them. Well, I also used to do humor, down-home humor, for companies. And it got to the place to where I had to make a decision because I didn't have time for what I was doing in the ministry and what I was doing for them. So naturally, I just dropped them and kept the main thing, as they say. Well, in my presentations and different companies and so forth, they'd rent a hotel and so forth, and have banquets and have me as a humorist. Well, I put together this thing and used Claudius. Part of it I had already heard, but I put it together and used Claudius Johnson as the main character. So I'm about to give you that story right now, how I won't do it just like I did it for meetings, but I will give you the gist of the story. I would say Hineston, my hometown, little old country town, had a store there, and Claudius Johnson moved from New York to Hineston. You talk about a cultural shock, going all the way from New York to Hineston, Louisiana. Well, she got down there, she was used to having all kinds of dinners. They'd go to one restaurant one week, and next week they'd go to another restaurant. And she got down there, the closest restaurant was the coffee shop in the Baptist hospital in Alexandria, 25 miles away. And the best you could get was a hamburger or a piece of pie. And so Claudius said, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to organize here the ladies, since what we'll have to do is I'll teach the ladies how to put on a superb supper fit for a king. And one lady can have a supper one week and another and another one and another one and another. Well, she was going to do the first one to show them all how to do it. She told her husband, she said, in Neiman Marcup's magazine, I have seen steak smothered in, of course, all that normally is in it. But she said, then they add mushrooms. Steak smothered in mushrooms. She said to her husband, she said, I need some mushrooms. He said, well, the closest place to get it is Alexandria, that's 25 miles, or either Leesville, 35. And said, but I tell you what, honey, he said, I've seen mushrooms, there's a lot of mushrooms up in the field up here. She said, yes, but I'm afraid that they would be poison. He said, no, I see the varmints eating them all the time. I don't think so. So the next morning she got a dishpan and went up there and she got a whole pan full of mushrooms. She came down and fixed the steak and she stewed those mushrooms down real low. And before she put that mushrooms on the steak, she called the dog. And the dog came and she fed him a whole bunch of those mushrooms. And she watched him for a couple hours. He just did the normal stuff. He run a rabbit, he slept on the porch, he got up and run a cow off. He just dog stuff. Seemed to be all right. So she went in and eased those mushrooms over on that steak and started fixing it just like they told her to do it. Oh, she was going to really show these ladies. And so whenever the ladies came to her house for supper, she had all kinds of little things for them to sample. Everything was so planned. And she had a little pound cake and strawberries, and everything was just, these ladies had never seen it done like that. And to top it all off, Claudius had hired a lady to come in to help her, to just be there to help, well, whatever. And it was just something. Well, the ladies ate and just was carried away with it, and the men they enjoyed it. The men got up and was ready to go to in the front room to start their line, and one lady had just got up enough nerve. She said she was going to ask Claudius where she got the recipe. And the lady, the helper that she had hired to come in for the day, came in and said, Miss Claudius? Said, what? She said, Miss Claudius, the dog's dead. Oh, so it frightened Claudius, and they sent for the old doctor. They had one old doctor out there, Dr. Mack, and he came in and he took every family, every couple into the bathroom and pumped their stomachs out. And they all left one by one. And Claudius sat down on the couch to cry. And the lady that came in to help for one day, she said, "Miss Claudius," she said, "What?" She said, "You know what I hated most about old Spot dying?" Said, "No, what?" Said, "The man that ran over him didn't even stop to say, 'I'm sorry.'" So, well, so Miss Claudius Johnson heard that I was using that in a story across the country, and she got a hold of me and asked me if I could send her a copy of it. And what was it, 8 tracks then or something? I sent her a copy, and she just loved it. Just a few little things that went on in Highston. I hope some of you get to go to Highston sometimes. I've got 1 or 2 more times I want to talk to you about Highston, so that when you go, you'll be prepared. I want to tell you about the library. I've already mentioned it to you, but I want to tell you about the library. God bless you.